Claude Fable 5, GLM 5.2, and Qwen 3.8 just ran through the same 5 tests, and the cheapest of the 3 actually beats the most expensive one on 2 separate benchmarks. Qwen 3.8 costs a fraction of Fable 5's price and still edges it out on Terminal Bench and Paper Bench, which isn't supposed to happen when one model costs this much more than the other. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one earns its price tag and which one is just charging you for a name. Let's start with the number that decides whether any of this is worth running at scale. Fable 5 charges $10 per $1 million input tokens and $50 per million output tokens, according to official pricing pages. GLM 5.2 charges $1.40 and $4.40. Qwen 3.8 sits in between at $2 and $6. That output gap is the one that matters. Fable 5's $50 is roughly 11 times GLM 5.2's $4.40s. In a community-reported real-world test, a 45-minute autonomous coding session in Claude Code running on GLM 5.2 cost $3.36 for 6 million tokens with a 72% cache hit rate. There's no comparable published figure for Fable 5 doing the same job. Cached input is close across all 3, but Qwen 3.8 edges it at 0.25 per million against GLM 5.2's 0.26. Fable 5 sits at $1. GLM 5.2 wins this one clean. My name is Brian and I review AI software, so you don't have to. Price doesn't matter if the cheap model can't do the work, so here's where Fable 5 is supposed to justify itself. On SWE Bench Verified, Fable 5 scores 95%, the highest publicly available score at launch. GLM 5.2 scores 77.8%, the top mark among open-weight models. Qwen 3.8, I couldn't find a published figure for this one. SWE Bench Pro tells a clearer story. Fable 5 at 80.3%, GLM 5.2 at 62.1%, Qwen 3.8 at 67.7%. On real GitHub issues, the premium model is genuinely better, but then Terminal Bench 2.1 flips it. Qwen 3.8 scores 86.6%, ahead of Fable 5's 84.6% and GLM 5.2's 81.0%, community reported for the 2 challengers. And on Paper Bench, Qwen 3.8 leads at 93.0% against Fable 5's 88.8%. So Fable 5 wins the category, but not every test in it. Claude Fable 5 takes this one. That's an 18-point gap over GLM 5.2 and a 13-point gap over Qwen. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Winning a benchmark doesn't help if you're staring at a loading spinner between every response. GLM 5.2's median output speed is 110.8 tokens per second against Fable 5's 68.9 and Qwen 3.8's 48.7. That's roughly 1.6 times faster than Fable 5. Time to first token is where it gets ugly for Fable 5. GLM 5.2 answers in about 1.38 seconds. Qwen 3.8 takes 2.75. Fable 5, running max effort thinking, takes around 83 seconds before it says anything. Peak throughput numbers are directional since the setups differ, but GLM 5.2 hits over 280 tokens per second on Basetin, well ahead of Fable 5's 139 on its fastest provider. GLM 5.2 wins speed outright. That's a real cost in any interactive workflow, not just a benchmark footnote. Stick with me because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. This is the one place all 3 actually line up. Every model ships a 1 million token context window. Max output sits at 128K for Fable 5 and 131K for both GLM 5.2 and Qwen 3.8, a gap so small it's immaterial. The only separation is in reasoning depth. Fable 5 uses adaptive thinking. GLM 5.2 offers adjustable high and max reasoning modes, and Qwen 3.8 tops out with a 200xe2k max reasoning token budget, the deepest headroom of the three. Call this one a genuine three-way tie. That's a marginal win for Qwen 3.8, but it's not enough to break the tie on the specs that actually matter for long horizon coding work. Last test, and it's the one that decides whether you can actually build on any of these long term. Fable 5 is closed and proprietary, no self-hosting option. GLM 5.2 ships under MIT, fully open weights, self-hostable anywhere. Qwen 3.8 carries a custom license with commercial restrictions, though its smaller 27B dense variant is Apache 2.0. On modality, GLM 5.2 is text only. Fable 5 takes text and image input. Qwen 3.8 goes further with image, text, and video input, the widest range of the three. Ecosystem is where GLM 5.2 pulls ahead again. It runs natively inside Claude Code, Klein, Roo Code, and Goose, on top of Day Zero support on Huawei Ascend hardware. Fable 5 lives across AWS, GCP, and Azure. So GLM 5.2 takes deployment and modality, and the scoreboard shifts its way. Here is where Claude Fable 5 clearly pulls ahead of the field. Now, here is where GLM 5.2 clearly pulls ahead of the field. Here is where Qwen 3.8 clearly pulls ahead of the field. Pick the one whose single biggest strength matches the job in front of you today. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.